She caught him kissing her maid of honor behind the chapel moments before she walked down the aisle. The music still played. The guests still waited. But her world stopped. Her bouquet fell first. Then her heart. He turned, startled, whispering her name like a plea. Lara, wait. But the word wait was too small to hold her breaking. The silk of her gown clung to her knees as she ran out of the church, barefoot, mascara bleeding down her face. Behind her, wedding bells rang not for love, but for her funeral of innocence. They said she'd move on. They said heartbreak makes you stronger. But when the car crashed that night on the rain-slick road, Lara didn't think strength was coming back. She thought the story was over. It wasn't. It was only beginning. Lara Vale lived her life like a promise, every dream in its place, every breath in rhythm. She believed in effort, in loyalty, in the slow, steady climb toward forever. She believed in him. Damon crossed the golden boy with a mind made for business and a smile made for lies. He called her his lucky charm. She built his empire from scratch, late nights, bright eyes, hands stained with ink and ambition. He said she was his future. She believed he meant it. Their wedding day shimmered like a painting, all white roses and whispered waltzes. Lara thought she'd earned this happiness. That love, when tended carefully, couldn't betray you. She was wrong. She opened the side door of the chapel, bouquet trembling in her hand, searching for Damon before the ceremony began, and found him pressed against her maid of honor, the woman she'd trusted since childhood. Their laughter was soft, breathless, obscene in its tenderness. The bouquet hit the floor. So did everything she'd ever believed in. He turned, startled. Lara, wait, this isn't what it looks like, but it was exactly what it looked like. She walked out as the organist played her bridal march, a cruel echo chasing her through the pews. Guests turned, confused, as the bride fled her own wedding. The sea wind ripped her veil away. It fluttered like a ghost behind her. Rain began to fall. By the time she reached her car, she was shaking not from cold, but from disbelief. Her phone rang. His name on the screen. She let it ring until silence swallowed it. Driving blind through tears, she whispered to herself, maybe I wasn't enough. Then headlights, a horn, a blinding crash of metal and light. Her last thought before everything went dark. He gets to live, and I don't. Lara awoke to sunlight, sharp, golden, alive. Not hospital white, not heaven. Her hands trembled, the skin was unscarred. Her engagement ring sparkled on her finger. She blinked. The calendar on the wall said 1 year before the wedding. The air left her lungs in a single, broken laugh. Fate had rewound the clock. Death had sent her back. From the kitchen came a voice, his voice humming her favorite song. Damon, alive, unpunished, unchanged. The sound made her stomach turn. Once, she would have run into his arms. Now, she sat perfectly still, letting the shock harden into clarity. Love had killed her once. It wouldn't again. She studied the diamond on her finger, a promise from a liar, and slipped it off. Laid it on the table like a dead thing. Her reflection in the mirror was familiar yet foreign. Same face, same eyes, but something inside had shifted, quiet, steel, unbreakable. This time, she wouldn't be the woman behind the man. She'd be the woman above him. Lara began to move differently, graceful, deliberate. At work, she took notes Damon never saw. She remembered every future investor, every mistake he would make, every betrayal that had once buried her, and she rewrote them line by line, deal by deal into her own future. She registered a company under a false name, Vale Holdings. No one noticed the quiet woman building power in the shadows. Not yet. Her nights became colder, but her mind sharper. Where heartbreak once lived, strategy took root, and for the first time, Lara didn't chase love, she chased control. When Damon kissed her goodnight, she smiled faintly, not in affection, but in prophecy. He didn't know it, but the woman he would one day betray was already reborn as the woman who would one day own him. 1 year later, the city looked the same, glittering towers, glass skies, people walking too fast to notice ghosts. But Lara Vale was not a ghost anymore. She was the storm that silence built. Under a new name, Elena Vale, she returned. Her company had grown like wildfire, quiet but unstoppable. Investors whispered her name in boardrooms, wondering who the mysterious genius was behind the flawless returns. Damon's company, meanwhile, was bleeding. He had expanded too quickly, borrowed too deeply, trusted the wrong people himself most of all. He needed a savior. And fate, merciless and amused, sent him one. A proposal crossed his desk. Vale Capital Private Investment Partnership. He saw the numbers. He saw salvation. He didn't see her. Lara sat in the mirrored conference room as he walked in, confident, polished, desperate beneath the surface. Her hair was shorter now, her voice lower, her smile slower. He shook her hand, unaware that the touch he'd once betrayed was now the one that held his future. "Thank you for considering our partnership," he said, charming as ever. "Of course," she replied. "I believe in second chances." He laughed, uneasy. Somewhere in his bones, he felt a chill. She watched him talk, the same gestures, the same arrogance. But now she wasn't the girl who adored him. She was the woman calculating the cost of his downfall. In private, she worked methodically, strengthening her hold, buying silent shares, moving quietly through the cracks of his empire. Each signature she placed was another thread pulling him closer to her web. At night, she'd walk by the ocean, the same one that had nearly claimed her. The waves no longer mourned. They applauded. She didn't need chaos or vengeance, not yet. Only patience, only presence. Revenge wasn't a fire anymore. It was ice, slow, beautiful, and certain to freeze him where he stood. It began like all endings do, quietly, not with fire, but with balance sheets, not with screams, but with silence. Lara didn't destroy Damon's empire, she simply let it tell the truth. Numbers don't lie, though men like him always think they can. She unearthed the hidden debts, the falsified invoices, the partners he'd cheated and the rivals he'd blackmailed. And then she opened the doors. A whisper here, a document there, a single anonymous leak to the press. By the time he realized what was happening, the tide was already turning. Contracts were canceled. Investors vanished. The man who once held her heart now clutched at the ruins of his pride. When he finally discovered her name behind Vale Capital, he stormed into her office, breath ragged, eyes red. "Lara," he gasped. You're alive?" She looked up from her desk, calm as winter. "In every way that matters." He laughed once, hollow, broken. "Was all this revenge?" She paused, studying him. "No, this is correction. I just gave back what you created." He fell to his knees then, begging not for forgiveness, but for mercy. "I lost everything," he whispered. "I loved you, loved me," she said softly. "You destroyed me. And still, I rebuilt myself. That's love of the only person who deserved it." He wept, but she didn't gloat. The ache in her chest had already quieted. She handed him a single paper, the buyout. "Sign it," she said. "Walk away. You'll keep your dignity." "What's left of it?" His trembling hand obeyed. And when he was gone, she exhaled a release. Years in the making. Her revenge wasn't victory. It was closure. Because she hadn't risen to crush him. She'd risen so she'd never need to. The world now knew his sins. But she was free. Time moved differently after the storm. Slower, softer, as if the universe itself exhaled. Lara's company, Vale Capital, became a name spoken with reverence, not for greed, but for precision, fairness, and brilliance. People said she had the mind of a strategist and the soul of a survivor. They were half right. She had no interest in being anyone's myth. She simply refused to be small again. She bought the old chapel one spring, the very place she had once been broken. Not out of sentiment, but reclamation. Where vows had died, she built an art gallery. The first exhibit was titled Rebirth. Sometimes she would stand by the ocean, the same restless waves that had once swallowed her cries, and listen to their applause. Not of sorrow anymore, but of arrival. And love, the unexpected kind, came quietly. No fireworks, no vows, just trust. A man she met at an investor summit, patient, kind, unthreatened by her strength. He didn't ask about her past. He only asked what she wanted next. And for once, the answer wasn't revenge. It was peace. They worked side by side, equals laughter replacing the noise of ambition. She learned that love could exist without ownership, that partnership could mean standing together not beneath. One evening at a gala, she saw Damon again, older, humbled, alone. The light no longer found him the way it once had. He froze when he saw her radiant, composed, untouchable. She gave him a nod. Nothing more. Mercy, she'd learned, was the final act of power. When he looked away, she turned back to her new life, her new love, and smiled. The past had become just that, past, and in its place bloomed freedom, quiet, vast, and entirely her own. They buried her beneath betrayal, but she rose with profit and poise. The woman they destroyed became the name they whispered in awe. Forgiveness wasn't weakness, it was freedom. Vengeance wasn't cruelty, it was clarity. Love, she learned, isn't proven in promises, but in peace. And when the world asked how she survived, she only said, I stopped waiting for him to save me. I learned to invest in myself. Because some rebirths aren't miracles, they're decisions made in silence, sealed in strength. Alara Vale died a bride. Elena Vale lived a legend.